Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Again, a million apologies for not missing not one, but deuce shows. It's 100% on me. Holidays kicked in. Laptop died at the most inopportune time. But we're back. We're here. We're queer. We'll make this episode 3 times as good as normal. So it'll make up for the other 2. We'll math it, Soto.
Yeah, we tried 3 times as hard, which is still not very much, but
it's like whenever I go to a casino and I lose, let's say I lose like $100, I'm like, well, I had $101 worth of fun. So if anything, I made money. So we're gonna make this show 3 times as good plus 1. So if anything, you viewers owe us for all the extra we're giving you.
Please send that dollar to.
We'll invoice you. We'll invoice you later. Well, and the tough part about this job, Soto, is when there's just nothing to talk about. You know, when
we just got to figure something out.
It's the off season. You know, there's no games to discuss. Nothing's going on in Raiderland. Nothing's going on in football in general. We're just kind of stuck with nothing to talk about. This is, I believe, Soto, other than like the live shows we do sometimes, this is the first show we've ever done where I didn't really build a rundown. Because there's just so much shit to get to, and we're not going to get to all of it. But I also don't want to like really get in on Spytek or Carroll or whoever we want to be next coach or Brady or whatever. And like, no, we got to cut this off because we got 7 more things to get to. You know, like I want to just get balls deep in what we care about.
Yeah, man, let's do it. There's plenty to talk about.
Let's start with Carroll. Let's start with Pete. Fired Monday after. Black Monday. There was probably a 5% chance he stayed at that point. Even when the Raiders were like 1-3, 1-4, I'm like, there's no way they fire him after 1 season. They want continuity. He's too established. He's got a Super Bowl ring, been around forever. Even if they keep losing, they're going to at least give him a second year. They're sick of firing a coach every single year. And it was just so bad. And not even the record, Soto. It was not playing the young guys. The dysfunction got worse. Like by almost every metric, this was a worse team than last year. And we thought there was, AP was just way in over his head and everything just went downhill. Run game was the worst in the NFL last year. It's somehow worse this year. OC got fired. Special teams coach got fired. Like I said, I didn't think there was any way he wouldn't last at least a season and a half, and he found a fucking way to get canned after a year.
Yeah, so it wasn't so much the what going 3-14; it was why the team went 3-14. Mm-hmm. And if you want to look at it from kind of the penthouse view, right, the 4,000-foot view,
it's the only view we know at the Windbags.
True.
What's Coach like? I have no idea.
Every single week, it was the same story. Oh, well, turnovers hurt us on offense. We couldn't get off the field on 3rd down on defense. Miscues on special teams. It was the same thing over and over again. So if you want to just lean back, the overall theme is the team did not get any better. Mm-hmm. The team started off slow. The first few games, they won a close-ish game when New England was still kind of figuring things out. Uh-huh. And they weren't never in that Chargers game. Got blown out, by the Commanders, and it just didn't get better. The miscues were still there. The turnovers were still there. The bad defense especially on 3rd downs, on the money downs, none of that stuff got better. And every time Pete Carroll or a Pete Carroll coach pulled a string to make something change, it just got worse. Yeah. Until they were forced to do what many thought they should have done in the beginning. And there's a lot of reasons why Pete Carroll is not here anymore. Well, with the Raiders. He's still,
he died?
He's still on Earth, but he's not with the Raiders anymore.
Was it The Office when Michael Scott's like, she's not with us anymore. She's at the hospital. Like, why did you say it like that? Why did you make it sound like she's dead? Yeah, I mean, look, there's a million little, I can name 17 little things, but to me, it cracks up to 3 big things. Like I think the three biggest things were like the one very, very obvious one. Why aren't you playing the younger guys when the veterans are awful? Like Caillou Blue Kelly was at best bottom 5 starting outside corner in the NFL. And the limited snaps Darian Porter got, he looked amazingly better. Like at that point, it's just stubbornness.
Even if they were the same, you still go with the 3rd round pick.
Yep. Let alone them being just that awful. At that point, it's like he dug his heels in. You know, the way he just mixed and matched the O-line. You're like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Like you don't have to be a football genius to know how bad this is, and that's what you're supposed to be. So it's like that part, the very obvious, I think was a very, very big one. 2, to coach the Raiders, you need to be able to handle dysfunction. You need to be able to handle a mess, lack of accountability, miscommunication. There's a lot of foxes in the henhouse of the Raiders, right? Mark Davis has led in multiple minority owners. It's like Antonio Pierce last season, right? There's like 17 random assistants there. John Spytek. Like you need to be able to, at best case scenario, what we're hoping Pete Carroll was going to do, what we hope whoever the next head coach is going to be, is be able to fix that, fix the dysfunction, fix the miscommunication, accountability, fix that. At worst case, or standard case, don't make it worse. He made it worse. He somehow managed to make the hornet's nest that is the Raiders organization even worse with the nepotism of his sons and bringing in all these extra players that he just like wanted to get paid for some reason. Clearly he was leaking stuff against Chip Kelly as Chip was leaking against him, not on the same page with everybody. Like he made it fucking worse, Soto, when he was supposed to be the adult in the room to at least fix that part. Like, right. That was our hope, right? Like, hey, he's only going to be around 2 or 3 years. He's the oldest head coach in NFL history. At least he'll fix that, or at least get that to a functional spot and then hand it over to some hotshot OC that's ready to be a head coach or something like that, right? Get that part done. Instead, he made it worse.
I'll go a step further. I mean, even more general a statement as far as you can narrow it down to these things. Mm-hmm. When you boil it down, he didn't take the recommendation of the front office. People were, I think, unfairly, and I've talked about this from the very beginning, and you said so too, this team isn't built to win now. They didn't use all their cap space. They wanted to go rookie heavy. They wanted to go give a lot of the undrafted free agents shots at playing. They wanted to play the young guys right away. Pete Carroll convinced someone. A lot of people say it was Mark Davis. Who knows? But Pete Carroll convinced someone that despite the game plan in free agency and the wishes of the front office, that he could win now. Mm-hmm. So that was the first mistake, is to go against how the front office was already steering the ship. He wanted to go against that. And the second one was putting his son in positions that maybe they weren't qualified for and keeping them. Because look, Brendan Carroll was the offensive line coach and the run game coordinator. Those are arguably the 2 worst performing aspects of our offense.
You know, it was the 3rd worst performing aspect of the offense.
The quarterback, and
it was
the other kid. So look, that's number 2. Is you fire the offensive coordinator because things were terrible, and then you didn't do anything about the run game. You didn't do anything about the offensive line. And there's number 2. And number 3, you put so many guys in there that weren't really moving the needle. Mm-hmm. And it showed that Pete Carroll was about Pete Carroll and the Carroll sons and not about the Raiders. This is in stark contrast. He said it a few times, more than a few times. I only know how to do it one way. Mm-hmm. Win now, win now, win now. Problem is, when the team is not built to win now, win now, win now, every single decision you make has to be right. And they weren't. Some of them worked out. Devin White, people can argue that Devin White was more of a Spytek get, right? But there's a couple other guys that were out there that were running around that did okay. I mean, Jamal Adams did okay. He played all 18 games, which is a plus. That was one of the big things for him is he was injury prone, but he played all 18 games. But you're looking at these decisions that weren't addressed later on in the year. Even when Caleb Rogers went in the game, his first game, then he didn't even start. I think Mafi played first. He didn't even play the whole game. So even when he was forced due to injury to play the rookies, he still didn't play them all. He still didn't put them out there with both feet. He still had to hedge this bet for whatever reason. Because I said this on my show a ton of times. I get that, and there's some people out there that I respect, some journalists and things like that I respect that said, well, you have to give Brandon Carroll and Pete Carroll credit for developing Rodgers for how good he is and developing Grant because they weren't that good when the season started. Well, here's the problem with that. When you're preaching compete, that's all you're preaching over and over and over again, right? And the guy that you're forced to put in, the rookie, is so much better than the guys he's replacing. You don't get that much better than somebody in 1 week. So there's a reason. It's reasonable assumption that Rodgers was good enough to play a month, 6 weeks before he actually played, and he didn't. So you're holding the guys back. Grant went out there, and at first against the Giants, he got some. He got a drive in, and he was going against backups, whatever. Then he goes against the Chiefs, against their starters, and does pretty good, and these decisions that he's making, when someone's making selfish decisions, you can tell. When someone's being selfish and people around him have a different goal in mind, you can tell the person who's being selfish by the decisions that they make, and that was Pete Carroll.
I think too, and to your point, we've talked about this, people that want to give the coaching staff credit for how well the rookies are playing because they were developed. You don't get credit for that for coaching when the veterans are having their worst seasons ever. You know what I mean? Like Geno Smith, whether you like him or not, he was at worst an above average quarterback in Seattle. Some people had him top 10. He was kind of, borderline top 10 in a lot of categories, right? Like he was a viable starting NFL quarterback. He's the worst starting quarterback in football this year. You want credit for that? Like Isaiah Palomalu took a step back. Chin took a step back. The O-line took a giant step back as a whole, right? Like everyone on the O-line either got hurt or took a step back. They were playing out of position, right? All this kind of stuff. And so it's like
I would be really mad if I was Dylan Parham because Brandon Carroll cost that man a lot of money in free agency.
It's like we have like a when you do an experiment, right? You have a control group, right? It's like, okay, here's the group of people that aren't affected, and then we're going to give this group of people the medicine, and then we'll see if these guys are healthy than the other one, right? The veterans have a control group. How did the veterans play last season, the season before, whatever, versus this season, right? Like that's how we know things are really bad with the Raiders because the last 4 quarterbacks to play for the Raiders had their worst season at the Raiders. Like that's how we know there's a real issue here, right? When you have veterans that were pretty good or damn good or, around, or not great, but we'll take a risk on them, and they all have their worst season of their career at the Raiders, you don't get coaching credit. The rookies are the wild cards. There's no control group, right? We don't know if they played better this year than they would have last year in the NFL because they were in college. There's no control group. So the one group of wild cards that you can't take credit for were the rookies that played well. The veterans that you can't take credit for because they all played worse is on you. So anyone who goes out there and is trying to throw some positivity in there and say, can we at least give, like with Gruden, right? Like awful GM, but we'll give him credit for finding Maxx Crosby, finding Renfro, the Darren Waller, finding him and his great contract. Like credit where credit's due. Almost everything else he did was terrible, but we'll give him credit where credit's due. This isn't us just trying to pile on Pete Carroll. This coaching staff does not get credit for the rookies playing well because the veterans played terrible.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they're just coaching the rookies and they're like, okay, veterans, figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, that was more so Brandon Carroll's style with the offensive line as a whole. if you believe the reports.
He's the coach that's like, we're going to throw a weight vest on you, throw you in the pool, and you can figure out how to swim. That's his style of coaching. These weak coaches with their pussy ass players, teaching them technique and watching film and showing them what to do. That shit's for Quakers.
Why do I have to explain to you why? Because I said so. That's why.
The third thing, and the part of my take guys had a funny line. They're like, if Pete Carroll, and this is before he got fired, it's like, if Pete Carroll quits the second that game's over, we'll make a deal where we never talk about his time with the Raiders ever. We'll just forget about it. We'll just remember you as the Seattle coach that won a Super Bowl, the SC coach that won national championships. We'll never talk about you again. This is, I think, like, look, obviously it's not going to destroy his legacy. And for Raiders fans, I don't think they really care about Pete Carroll's legacy, but it got me thinking. I think the blind spot with Pete Carroll was he just had no clue how to handle a suboptimal roster. When he was at SC, those Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Gertie Good years, like those were some of the most stacked and talented college football teams like ever. They were so good they had to give up a national title and a Heisman, right? For all the recruiting violations they did, right? The Seahawks, the 2010 draft class, the 2011 draft class, the 2012 draft class, all had Hall of Famers, all had like 4 or 5 massive hits. And that's what started off this incredible roster that had all that success and ended with the Super Bowl, right? Now it sounds, duh, RJ, good players make coaches look better, like clearly. But there are coaches that make bad rosters get decent and pretty good rosters make them champions. And to Pete Carroll's success, he was a part of making these teams good. But we learned that unless he has just an unbelievably stacked roster, he really doesn't know what to do. Like, he does not know how to handle a roster that needs rebuilding, or a roster that needs resetting, or a roster that needs creativity. He did not know how to do that this season and showed no inclination of trying.
Yeah, I would lean more towards he just doesn't play well with others. He can do it, but he has to do it his way. Like he even says so himself, he only knows one way how to do it. And he has to have control. He didn't have control, and he had his fingerprints in the offense. He had his fingerprints in the defense. Both of them massively underperformed. And this is the big misstep, because he understood the assignment when he was hired. He got the lay of the land of how things were going to go. He took it and still tried to do things the same way. And then when he realized that things weren't working, he just doubled down and kept doing it. Let me just get rid of the guys that are in my way. Well, he's not running the offense the way I want him to run it, so I'm going to get rid of him. This guy in special teams is not doing well, so I'm just going to get instead of and the team didn't improve. Look, what, week 16 or something, they got blanked. You know, it's like you don't do that if you're getting better.
By the second worst team in football.
Oh, they got blanked by the Eagles.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but I mean, no, Jackson Dart, the Giants, they got smoked at home.
Jackson Dart's my new favorite quarterback. Those back-to-back wins gave us number 1, baby. I gotta send him a fruit basket.
It's just a lot of things that everybody who was paying attention saw. And I think I was like you until probably the bye week. They're like, there's no way they're firing him until the bye week. And I'm just like, after that Chiefs game, I was like, okay, this is a possibility. If they don't get better, this is a strong possibility, because this team, the way they're playing now, is even worse than last year's team.
Yeah. So obviously, when you only win 3 games, there's a lot of blame to go around. Pete Carroll shoulders a ton of it, but not all of it. There's been a lot of focus on Spytek now, because when John Spytek first got hired in March, whenever it was, spring, he was doing every interview you can. Like, I couldn't turn on Twitter without seeing a new John Spytek interview. And I go, oh, great. He's front and center, blah, blah, blah. Great. And then he did one more really big interview with The Athletic after week 1 when the Raiders beat the Patriots. And then he was radio silent rest of the year. I don't think he talked to one reporter, one analyst. I don't think he posted an Instagram story from like week 2 to 18. But when you fire your head coach, you do a presser. And he did his presser on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday? Was it yesterday? We're recording this Wednesday night.
It was Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday, right? And he addressed some things. He didn't really say a lot. I don't think there's anything concrete. I want to get your read on it. But the one thing that I think this showed was, I think it showed the organization that everyone has to be on the same page moving forward. You cannot have a GM that says we're a 2-year rebuild and a coach that says I'm going to win now. You can't throw an offensive coordinator into the lap of a head coach that doesn't want him, and they're not talking, if you believe those reports. You know, it's like it's like it's better to have B-level everything's all on the same page than A-level guys that don't communicate and are butting heads and aren't rowing in the same direction. That should be Spytek's biggest lesson from the 2025 season.
Yeah, and I don't even know that was a lesson that he didn't already know, because he wasn't really there for the hiring of Pete Carroll. He got hired like a couple days before they hired Pete Carroll. He wasn't in the interviews. He didn't do that. So
Pete Carroll was interviewed. Spytek was hired 10 days later, and then 4 days later, Pete Carroll was hired. So it's like, yeah, he wasn't even in the interview.
He wasn't even in the interviews. So it's a tough situation for Spytek, but if I was in his shoes, I wouldn't have said a damn thing either. Because what's happening on the field isn't what his plan was. He didn't want to win now. He didn't want to go vet heavy. And if Pete would have gone with the young players and they won 3 games, I think he'd still be here, because you're playing all your young guys. But you went vet heavy and still couldn't get these guys to turn it around towards the end of the year. I would have done the exact same thing. I questioned it myself when we didn't hear from Spytek, but I mean, looking back on it and knowing what we know now about what's going on behind the scenes, I wouldn't have said anything. This is not my plan.
Yeah. There's been in the last, again, we're recording this Wednesday night on the 7th. In the last probably 36 hours, there has been 2 or 3 concerted efforts from different places to say prominently and deliberately, Tom Brady is actually in charge of what's happening. Tom Brady, they did a Spytek brought it up. The Raiders released a statement. Everything that's coming out, Mark Davis said it himself. Tom Brady and John Spytek are going to lead the head coaching search and will guide this team to success. They are latching Tom Brady's name to whatever happens next, and obviously John Spytek is going to be along for that ride. This is the question, though, Soto. And I don't know if you've thought of this, and I don't know the answer. Where did this come from originally? Is this Tom Brady looking at this season and saying, bleh, I cannot be attached to that. I cannot be a minority owner of this team and have it be this bad. I need to show up. I got to stop banging Instagram models in Mexico. I got to stop doing all my side businesses and flinging crypto or commercial, whatever. I'm like, I need to be in that building. I need to be making phone calls. I need to actively take a prominent role in this organization, put my name out there. I'm putting my nuts on the table and I'm going for it. Or is it someone else, probably Mark Davis, putting it out there and saying, Tom, you can't just come and go as you please now. Tom, if you're going to be a minority owner and you got the 5% on a screaming deal below market, so you would come in and help this team, you don't get to be the weekend fun dad, right? You don't just get to show up on Saturdays, take them to Disneyland, and then the rest of the week, mom takes care of, washes their clothes, makes some lunch, and helps them with their homework. It's like, no, you need to be there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other weekend, and even more to help build this team. I don't know which one it is. I have no clue. If Tom Brady raised his hand and said, I'm putting a saddle on this bitch and I'm riding this to a championship, put my, tattoo my name on it, win, lose, or draw. Or if it was someone else, probably Mark Davis, saying, Tom, you don't get to put your name on this in only the good times. You don't get to just show up for the fun stuff. You need to be here in the trenches.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. From what I'm gathering, more than likely, and I could be wrong, but my best guess is Pete was more of a Mark Davis guy. That's what I'm thinking. So I feel like Brady thought he could impart his wisdom, just kind of set it and forget it, and have everyone else kind of implement. The problem is that the everyone else, like you said, wasn't on the same page. They had different goals in mind.
Yeah.
And the local media did ask Spytek in his press conference, was it just a case of you and Pete Carroll having different goals, going in different directions? And he hummed and hawed and really didn't answer. And I wouldn't expect him to answer that anyway.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at what happened and how that relates to what's going to happen moving forward, I think it's a little bit of both. I think both Tom Brady did realize, I need to be more involved if I want to have what I want to have happen actually happen. And I need to be more involved to make sure that it's a singular direction that we're going in. And too many concessions made, man. Too many concessions made. Too many, instead of being on the same page about things, people were like, okay, well, you hire that guy, but I want to hire this guy. And okay, you got this guy and I'll get this guy, because they're not moving in the same direction, and I can't prove it. And no one's come out and said it, but you don't go from going full force into a young first-time whiz kid offensive coach to a 74-year-old defensive coach. That's too big of a swing. That's too different of a style of coach that you're looking at to go from one end to the other. Young, innovative offense to older, stuck in his ways defense. You don't do that big swing, and it's the same person doing it.
Well, the cards are on the table, right? The reputation of Tom Brady and John Spytek as owners / GMs / influencers, influence makers, presidents, whatever. It's been put out there, right? So moving forward, right? Like I think I give Spytek a lot of leash because I thought he did a good job with the rookie class. I think the strategy was clear. Don't spend any money on this season because it's not a team ready to win now. Save the cap space, play the young guys, build for next year. And I think the GM did his job in that aspect. And even the guys that didn't work out, I understood what he was doing, right? Like all those shitty linebackers, it's like only one of them needs to pop, right? Like you get a bunch of super cheap ones. One of them finds their stroke, you re-sign them. Now, none of them did, but I understood the strategy, right?
I still think Devin White can be an effective player, but they just had him doing things that he wasn't good at.
Covering.
Why would you ever have to do that? Why? You have another linebacker that's a former safety that's infinitely better at it. He's not great, but as a linebacker, he's decent.
So I think so. Moving forward, right? That's the past. I don't know if there's anything from the last season you want to talk about. You want to talk about Genty, the rookies? Do you want to talk about a specific performance?
No,
I'm ready to move forward if you are.
Yeah, I'm just ready to move forward, man.
Yeah. The sooner we get the bad taste of this season out of our mouths, the better. The goal now, the first goal now is get the best head coach as possible because everything else falls in place after that, right? Do you draft Mendoza? Do you draft someone else? Do you trade down? What do you do with Maxx? You want the head coach to be on board with whatever those big decisions are next, right? And you're now competing with, there's 6-7 teams now, right? That are looking for head coaches in the NFL. Raiders, Ravens, Browns, Cardinals,
Giants, Titans.
Giants, Titans.
One more.
Any?
There's one more, I think.
It's going to be such a shitty team. They're like, oh yeah, I forgot. They didn't. They're looking for a coach.
Who is it?
Oh,
Falcons.
Falcons. Thank you. 7, right? I think the biggest goal right now is to try to make the Raiders head coaching job as attractive as possible to get the best guy as possible, because it does not look good. There's a reason why the Raiders have just gotten the leftovers the last like 3-4 hiring cycles, because they've been losing. The coach gets fired every year. The mess that is the Raiders organization is well known, right? It's no secret. Like, people know that. So you have to beat that somehow, right? The things the Raiders got going for us in this next coaching cycle. The number 1 overall. That's huge. Buddy, you get to pick your quarterback. Or you could trade down and get a bunch of first-round picks. Whatever you want, right? Whatever you want to do. Like that. Or not whatever you want to do, because the GM's going to make the decision. But we want you on board, right? You're going to be part of this process, right? So that's one thing. Tom Brady is going to have to be the rest of it, because that's kind of it, right? You've got the number 1 overall and Tom Brady's influence. I mean, unless you can think of anything else that the Raiders are really offering, because the Giants and Titans have a quarterback. The Ravens they're going to get the best guy. Whoever the number 1 guy is, they're going to get him. It's just organizations too good. MVP at quarterback, defense is solid. It's just like they're getting the number 1 guy, you know?
I mean, as of right now, yeah, there still could be some jobs available in the near future that would be pretty good jobs to have. Most notably,
now, right?
if the Bills lose in a first round, I think Sean McDermott's gone, and that would be you're going into a new stadium. You have Josh Allen.
JA.
That's JA-17. Like that would
Run game was good this year. But yeah, no weapons, defense. Yeah, for sure.
So as of right now, yes, there's you don't often have a team that needs a head coach that has a 2-time MVP and a Hall of Fame running back and good defense and all that stuff. It normally doesn't happen. But that's why there needs to be the selling point is not just going to be Tom. It's not just going to be the stadium and the amenities and the first round pick. It has to be the vision. They have to sell that, and they have to get everyone bought in. It's not about convincing at this point. You can't convince, because when you convince somebody, you convince them at that moment in time, and that can change. You have to have them bought in. You have to have them pulling in the same end of the rope, because it's going to take a lot for this to turn around, and it's going to take everyone pulling a lot on the same side to get it to turn around.
It's going to take exactly the right guy. Like, like John Harbaugh is clearly like the number 1 target for every team right now. And maybe he is the right guy for the Raiders. But I think more important than getting the hot ace coming up, it's a guy that understands, okay, you need to be able to handle anarchy. You're probably going to lose for a while. You got to know what to do with that first, right? So it's like, it needs to be someone, and we're not going to get the best guy we want, probably, right? We're probably not going to get the third best guy we want. I was on a text chain, my UFC text chain, and Dan Helly, who's been on the show and is in the NFL, he's like, Raiders are like the 5th best job opportunity out of all the opportunities available. And it's like, I have a hard time arguing with him. Like, it's kind of like it's
Browns and the Cardinals are probably worse, and
that's it. I mean, Titans have a quarterback. The Giants have my favorite rookie class. I mean, their rookie class is awesome. Great market.
I think Harbaugh's going to the Giants.
Probably.
East Coast, got a quarterback, got a defensive line. They have some weapons. He has a legit number 1 receiver coming back from injury.
Yeah. Falcons have young weapons.
No quarterback.
No quarterback, but weapons at least. Ravens have the best, that's the best option for anyone. It's like, yeah, it's really just, that's it. I mean, unless you just really love all you can eat buffets and strip clubs, like it's hard to offer, like what can Vegas offer, right? So it needs to be, creative, right? It needs to be like, okay, not just the best guy, but like I keep saying, people, and we'll get to Maxx Crosby here in a second, but he's like the best example of this. Do you want to trade him or do you want to keep him? It's like, well, I'm fine with either, but if one of them helps us get the coach we want, and everyone's on board with what that decision is, that's what we should do. If the next coach coming in is like, I want to trade down from the first overall, I want to trade down even more, I want to trade Maxx for 2 firsts, and I want to do this right from the ground. I want to rip this down to the studs, start from the beginning and build the foundation for the next 10 years, not next year. And Spytek's on board, Brady's on board, the OC and DC are on board. So like, okay, then trade Maxx and get those 2 first. That's more important to me. If the next head coach comes in and says, like, I could turn Fernando Mendoza into an MVP, let's just shore up that offensive line. Let's use that cap space. I need Maxx to be the leader on defense because I'm an offensive guy. Then I'm on board with that. I want to use what little assets the Raiders have as the gift basket to the head coach, saying, how do you want to handle all of this? Which is why it's so important to move fast, because a lot of dominoes need to fall moving forward, and the head coach needs to be in unison with everybody, holding hands, singing Kumbaya of what all these big moves are going to be.
Yeah, for me, it's not. I want to. It's. I'd like it if.
Yeah,
I'd like it if we kept Maxx, but I understand. I don't want to get rid of him for nothing. I would love a Micah Parsons deal. I think that Maxx is a much more well-rounded player than Micah. I think Micah's a pass rusher, and that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. He has been coming off of a couple of injury, not plagued, but seasons where he's been injured, but they're not as serious as the injury that Micah just had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think we can get 2 firsts for him. Again, I'm not advocating for us to do it. I'd like to keep Maxx, but I would understand. I
wouldn't let him go for less than 2 firsts.
No,
or some kind of comparable, like first and another awesome, you know what I mean? Like
no,
2 firsts or something
firsts.
comparable.
You don't want to have another player that you have to pay more early. No, 2 firsts. That's what I would take for him.
That's the minimum for me.
Conversation.
Yeah. So who would that be? So Ian Rappaport reported. He has the worst last name for an insider. The Raiders currently on the interview list: Broncos quarterback coach Davis Webb, Chiefs OC Matt Nagy, Broncos DC Vance Joseph, Seahawks OC Clint Kubiak. That anyone else during today? Well, I didn't see anyone else announced.
No
interview. That's it for now, right? As of Wednesday night, that's the list of people requested to be interviewed. So according to John Harbaugh's agent, he's received 7 requests for interviews. Now, there's 7 teams that need players, and obviously the Ravens didn't do it. So that means probably all 6 teams asked, and another team that didn't fire their coach. It's like, we would definitely fire a coach for you.
Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins, probably.
It's the Dolphins.
Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins make sense.
I can almost guarantee you it's the Dolphins.
Probably. So there's Dolphins. So Harbaugh would be on that list for you certainly, whether you really want him or not, you have to interview him. You have to. He's just too experienced, too good. Brian Flores, I think, will absolutely be interviewed. Defensive mastermind, relationship with Tom Brady. Brian Dabble will be interviewed, maybe for
so terrible at name.
OC. What did I say? Oh, how did I mispronounce it this time?
It doesn't matter. Just say it the way you say it. That's the way we say it from now on.
And then I think a couple wild cards. You can never count out John Gruden. You can never. You're telling me it's impossible?
Nope, not possible. Davis, not going to happen.
Impossible. Not going to happen. You don't think so?
Not going to happen for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's suing the NFL. Number 2,
it was Brian Flores,
which is another reason why they're not going to hire him either.
I feel like that's more of a plus as a Raider.
No. That's if it was Al Davis, it'd be something different. Mm-hmm. Mark Davis has been trying his best to mend the relationship with the NFL. Mm-hmm. He's not going to do it. You're telling me that Al Davis would have forced John Gruden to quit? He would have told Gruden to F off. Exactly. Mark Davis is trying to mend fences with the NFL, not create more barriers. That's why Flores ain't coming, among other things, and that's why Gruden ain't coming back. And that's and another reason why Gruden is not coming back is the reason why we're not going to hire Harbaugh. He's going to want too much control. Mm-hmm. And there's no way that Tom Brady and Spytek are going to be like, you know what? We're best friends now. I'm going to give you some of my responsibilities. I'm going to give you some of my power. Like, it's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, Harbaugh's not coming for a myriad of reasons. That's for sure.
And neither is Flores for a couple.
I'm not convinced that they don't bring in Flores, despite the fact he's suing.
You love Flores, and I have no clue why, dude. I have no idea why.
Because the guy's knows what it's like to be in the shit.
Doesn't matter. What is it?
It absolutely matters.
No, it doesn't.
That's the most important thing for this head coach.
The problem is, RJ, I don't want to get too much deep into this. I'm just going to state my case, and then you can state your case, and we don't have to go any further. Both his quarterbacks in Miami hate his freaking guts. They've talked nothing but bad things about how he handled them, and he handled the rest of the team and the other coaches. All right? That's huge because you have a number 1 overall first-round pick for it's going to be a quarterback. And the quarterbacks, who was another, remember Tank for Tua? You remember that? They a top 5 pick or number 6 pick or something like that. Top 5, I think. Yeah. Treated him like dog shit. Treated Fitzy, the guy that he actually liked, treated him like shit. Alienated his other coaches. People, and it's more than him, more than just Fitzpatrick, have talked about how difficult Brian Flores is to work with, not just as a boss, but even as an equal. That's not the type of energy you want in an organization that's bringing in a brand new franchise first-round pick, first overall pick quarterback. Plus, he's still in the NFL, and Mark Davis ain't going to have that.
Brian Flores was thrown into the worst coaching situation, taking over a terrible Dolphins team with an owner that was going to give him $100,000 a game to tank, allegedly, reportedly. And he still dragged them into back-to-back winning seasons. And one of them a 10-6 win team. He knows what it's like to be in the shit. And the Raiders is the shit. Like, that should be the number 1 priority when hiring the head coach. How can you handle anarchy? How can you handle a mess? And he knows how to handle a mess. He's the only guy that's proven it. Now, here's the sad reality. And this is so depressing to say on a Raiders podcast. Whoever we choose as head coach is probably going to fail. That's the sad reality. Because that's what the last 10 head coaches, there's been one head coach that's had a winning record, Jack Del Rio. And he was like 3 games above 500. Like, we want to be optimistic. We're hoping that's not the case, right? Hopefully Brady and Spytek turn things around. They know what the issue is. Hopefully. But if history says anything, we can't bury our head in the sand. If history says anything, whoever this next head coach is, probably going to fail. I want someone who knows what it's like in the shit. On top of, obviously, a defensive genius, relationship with Tom Brady, because you need to be a strong personality to right this ship, but also play nice with Brady because he's your boss. So that's a very unique personality, which Flores kind of fits the bill because he has that strong personality, but him and Tom Brady know each other and respect each other. And even if it's, and I think, and I do like the Flores idea, but it's not so much just Flores. I think the priority needs to be a culture changer. Like, I would love great X's and O's. Like, of course, give me a offensive genius that can bring Fernando Mendoza or whoever along. Yes, that sounds awesome. That would be amazing. But there's a reason why every quarterback that comes to the Raiders has their worst season ever. Is because there's another big problem dragging down everybody. And until you address that problem, it's going to stay there and cause all the other problems.
So that's one way to look at it.
You know what I want? One more thing. I promise I'll shut up on it. You know what I want? I want a guy who had an alcoholic dad, but still became a good dad himself. You know what I mean? Like someone who was in a terrible situation and rose above it. I want a dude who dated a stripper for 2 years, got out of it, found love, and has been married for 20 years to his sweetheart. They have 4 kids. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? Like, I want someone that's like covered in calluses, but came out smelling like roses, because that's what's going to be like as head coach in the Raiders.
So there's a few things I wanted to touch on. When you're fighting in the fight game, right? When you're competing and you're getting tired, the last thing you want to think about, and the last thing you want to do, and the last thing the coaches tell you to do is think about how much time is left.
Yeah.
Just go. Just go.
The tired guys looking at the clock.
Yeah. Don't do that, because you're going to look and you're going to be really tired and going to look again. And like, damn, only 3 seconds have passed since the last time I looked.
Feels like 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to culture, you just got to stop talking about it. Stop talking about, we need a culture changer. Just stop talking about it. Just don't get in there and do it. So when I hear people say, I need someone to change the culture, I've just freaking stroke and just let it go. It's bullshit. It's all buzzwords. That's all it is. Because the biggest culture changer is winning ball games. And you do that by being able to, you're positive about Flores, that he knows and he can buddy up to Pete. That's like saying that no one else can buddy up to Pete. That's a very simple thing to do, is to buddy up to your boss. Oh, Tom, yeah, sorry. So you buddy up to your boss. That, I think mostly everybody's going to be able to do that. But it is the X's and O's. It is being able to work well with others. It is being able to make the best out of a situation and not make it worse because you see things only one way. We just got rid of that. And that's Brian Flores. That's who he is. He could only do things one way. He alienated everyone around him. And the most important position in the NFL, both the guys hate his guts. So there is a lot more positive you can get that is not just the fact that he's been through stuff. And I don't want to talk about culture anymore because it's not the biggest thing. You go in there and you're going to talk a big game, but how are you going to get there? There's the what, sure, but then there's the why and the how. How are you going to do that? Well, you can't work with others. You alienate your people around you, and including your own coaches that you hired. You alienate your quarterbacks. That's not a way to get things done.
Well, he did. He won. And there's a lot of coaches that have a lot of success where their players didn't like them. I mean, there's plenty.
It's not about players not liking you, man. I think you're minimizing these huge red flags because for whatever reason you think he's the guy. You're minimizing all these red flags.
I think the biggest issue facing the Raiders is the core dysfunction rot. And we've talked about this.
There's that culture. You just renamed culture.
That is what it is. Whatever you want to call it. Dysfunction, rot, unaccountability. That is the biggest problem with the Raiders. That is. Now, you're right. I don't want buzzwords coming out of my coach, but I want him addressing it. And so until that's fixed, again, every quarterback that comes here has their worst season. It's like,
I wouldn't even talk about culture. I wouldn't even talk about that because that's what Gruden was supposed to bring. Joshua Downs was supposed to bring the Patriot way culture. AP was this a culture Raider Nation till he dies guy. Pete, the culture compete guy. It's all culture, culture, culture. And guess what? None of it worked. You got to have more depth than that.
Yeah, and none of them were able to do it. Brian Flores has. Brian Flores has been able to do it. Now, if there's another coach.
What are you talking about, dude?
Yes, dude. The Dolphins were trying to go over. They were doing everything they could to go over, and Brian Flores got them to 10-6 and 9-8. Like, he's done it. Now, if there's another guy that's got this resume that's taken like a rotting, losing franchise and elevated it, like let's talk to that guy too. And in fairness, it doesn't just have to be a head coach that can turn things around. We've talked about this. Fernando Mendoza can be it. We need a North Star. We need a shining light. We need something for everyone to focus on that's going to raise everybody up. And it could be Fernando Mendoza. It could be any of the coaches we're talking about, for sure. Like it could absolutely. There's a decent chance Vance Joseph can clean up all the rot. There's a great chance John Harbaugh could clean up all the rot, like for sure. Like Flores isn't the only guy. He's the only guy I've seen that has done it. But that doesn't mean the other guys can't. They just haven't done it yet. That's what I think needs to be addressed. and it could be addressed just by Tom, right? Maybe Tom can just whip everyone into shape just by being there,
He's not going to be there.
He's not going to, well,
Spytek answered that question without answering it.
Get him one of those robots with the iPad on it that just rolls around with Brady's face on it. Get him one of those. Just have Brady just like always be around like a drone. I don't want to talk about culture. It's not fun. I want to talk about X's and O's. I want to talk about sweet quarterback. I don't talk about a hard-hitting linebacker. I want to talk about a zero blitz, and that's what I want to talk about. But none of that works if everyone hates each other or isn't talking and everyone's showing up late. So someone needs to address that, whether it's a coach, whether it's Brady, whether it's quarterback, whatever. Any coach that you think would be, not for sure, but you think the Raiders will talk to, should talk to, you anticipate them talking to. We mentioned the 4 already that are having interviews: Harbaugh, the 2 Bryans,
Kingsbury, also the 2 guys from the Rams, probably.
Mm-hmm. OC and DC at the
Chula
Rams.
And LaFleur.
I learned today, the TIL, today I learned Cliff Kingsbury's friends with Tom Brady. That changes
They're
everything.
Boys. I heard that. I think that was the
boys.
phrase. They're boys.
With 3 Z's.
Boys.
That's great, not because they want him as head coach, but I want him as OC. And
he's an OC.
How do you know? He's an OC now.
He'll get a head coaching job.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Well, that's why I think, and this is where like the Tom Brady influence matters, is like we were able to get the what am I blanking? The Bears head coach.
Ben Johnson,
right? We like got the interview with him only because of Tom Brady, which is like in the end doesn't matter, but at least it like showed something. But if Kingsbury is really good boys with Brady, maybe he'd be like, you know what? I'll take an OC job with you. Like that's the kind of like, that's what I mean by influence. Now, if he's offered a head coaching job, he's going to take it. But if he's offered other OC jobs, Tom Brady could be the tiebreaker.
Unless Tom Brady suits up, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. I think that this is an extremely advantageous point in time for Cliff Kingsbury to be a head coach. When his people on his team, when his players were healthy, he went to the conference championship game. The next season, loses Eckert, loses his quarterback Daniels. McLaurin pulled his funny business during training camp and then gets hurt early in the year, and he's been in and out of the lineup since. That's excusable, I guess. You can explain that away. Well, when he had a full complement of people, when he had good guys, he was able to win, even though it was his first year there. So I think this is the time for him to strike, because if he sticks around, or he's not going to stick around. He already told him he was going to leave, right?
I don't know.
So if he goes somewhere and it's slow going, it's going to be more difficult. He's going to have to wait longer to get a head coaching job. I think it's going to head coach or bust for him.
Oh yeah, Commanders part ways with OC Cliff Kingsbury. Done deal. Do you think but this is the thing. Do you think he's a top 7 option for everybody? Because you got Harbaugh for sure, 1, because there's only 7 openings as of right now, right? He's got to beat out 7 other guys.
I think he's at least 3 or 4 teams top 7.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's all it takes, 1.
Okay.
So he's definitely a top option for at least a few teams, or one of the top options.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a team not afraid of a retread, right? Because he's really never had success as a head coach, college or pro. Great OC. Awesome OC. If you get to pick any OC that's like within reason, right? That's available. Would he be your number 1?
I'd rather do like a Kubiak or LaFleur.
Yeah,
I think that they check a lot of boxes. They come from offenses that are dynamic both on the ground and passing the ball. They put up a lot of points. They're from programs that are successful. Yeah, it's like you talk about a lot of like the whole dynamic of knowing how to win because you've been in a place that's used to winning.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys have done that, and they've been there. Yeah, I think that's checks a lot of boxes. Plus, their offensive coaches, which a lot of people are talking about that. I mean, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. Not a lot of good offensive head coaches get fired, and that's normally what you'd want to do, right? You do what Harbaugh did so many years with the Ravens is he would take whatever the best coordinator that got fired as head coach, he would bring him in as his coordinator or bring him in as a quarterback coach or bringing him to do something. And so he still has high-level coaching on the offensive side. If you get a defensive coach, you're going to potentially have some turnover for your young quarterback, which you don't want. You want to have that continuity. So, the offensive coach is probably the way to go. You want to have someone young who's not set in his ways and stubborn and willing to work with the front office and different things and be a little bit more creative. A lot of these older guys are pretty set in what they want to do. So they check those boxes for sure.
I wonder what type of cell phone Pete Carroll has. Does he have like the latest like iPhone? Or does he got like a flip phone or something? Slew of burners. Well, maybe that's how we get Cliff Kingsbury is if he falls in love with like Mendoza or something, right? Like that's the other allure. We talk about the allure for a head coach. Maybe getting a good OC is the same way, right? Like you get to hitch your wagon, right? Because how do you make it as a offensive mind in football? Like all the like most successful, highest paid, most respected offensive minds, they hitched their wagon to a quarterback and they were both successful. It's just how it's all like, that's just how it operates. Right. So it could be, maybe that's what brings us a good offensive mind. Well, I think we covered everything more or less. It all kind of hinges on whoever the head coach is going to be. And then the dominoes fall from there. You start hiring assistants. You figure out what you're going to do with Maxx. You figure out what you're going to do with first overall. You start doing the thing that Soto doesn't want to talk about at all. It's going to be a fun offseason, man. Like, I can't promise it'll be a good offseason. The Raiders could very well fuck all this up. And if history says anything, they will. But that's what's at stake, man. Like, the next decade could hinge on this offseason. Easily. Like, that's not exaggeration. That's not hyperbole. That's not us trying to, like, hype things up. Like, we're pretty, like, I don't feel like we embellish too bad, Soto. I feel like, oh, this is the worst season ever. Oh, this is the best season ever. He's the worst quarterback ever. He's the best quarterback ever. I don't feel like we do that. I think we're pretty good about context. But the Raiders could realistically fuck up the next 10 years this offseason or propel for success the next 10 years this offseason. Because what matters most for longevity in a franchise? Ownership. Is Brady going to grab this with both hands and be an owner or be hands off? And is he good? Right? He may be a really shitty team president. Like he might be, we have yet to find out. Head coach and quarterback. Those are the three most important elements for long-term success in the NFL. And all three of them are in flux. It's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. They just can't screw up big time on any of these decisions. They can maybe get a decision wrong here and there, but it can't be a major one where it's like a big time screw up. So it's not as dire as they have to get everything right. Yeah, sure. If you want to do it the fastest, you do get everything right.
Yeah.
But they can't majorly screw up any of these decisions.
Yeah. There's been too many really good quick turnarounds in the NFL.
Yeah, the door opens quick and it closes quick. Yeah. So it can open in a couple seasons. Yeah. We just got to get the right people in place.
All right. Well, that's it. The right people are in place here at the Autumn Windbags. We haven't been here for 3 weeks. Again, that's on me. I feel like this was at least 3.1 times better than an average show. So, again, you wonder for Windbags, you owe us. We'll invoice you. We accept Venmo, Cash App, bits of string. What shows that from? Let us know in the comment section. Yeah. If anything, if the head coach gets when the head coach gets hired, we'll go live or do our best. Certainly, Soto will at Raiders versus the World. And if not, we'll see you next time. And until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Well, look at you making it to the end of this video. You look like you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you really love it, go ahead and subscribe.